Hello and welcome to Open Studios here at NCM Hub. My name is Lilly Dissette, and today I am joined by the cast and director of Badger at the Nock Middle School. Would you guys mind going around? Let's do a circle going this way with your name and role in the show.
My name is Brian Nickerson, and I am the artistic director at the Nock Middle School.
My name is Raylan, and I play Rose.
My name's Kaya Field, and I play Grace.
My name is Dean Williams, and I play Timothy.
My name's Kylie, and I play Barbara.
My name's Annabella Williamson, and I play Eleanor.
Great to have you guys with me today. Now, firstly, would you mind telling me a bit about Badger?
So Badger is set at the Badger Munitions Factory in Wisconsin. It was in operation during World War II and stayed in operation up through the late 1970s. It actually was in operation during World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Played the most prominent operations and munitions for the American military, particularly during World War II. And it primarily employed about 3,500 mostly female workers and some male workers as well, so it was very much a dawn of the redefinition of the woman of the time, getting into the industrial field, and with so many men in active military duty, the women really kind of had to pick up from there and redefine the presumed boundaries that were initially housewifery and being secretaries to keeping America moving during war times and going to the domestic home front.
That's a super interesting topic. Really interesting that you guys are covering that. Now, would you all mind telling me a little bit about the characters that you play in the show? Just one or two sentences.
Sure. I play a 19-year-old newlywed who just joined the workforce, and I work in the press house.
The press house. Very nice.
I think she's 18, an 18-year-old who definitely, for the times, didn't really fit the image that women were supposed to have, and she's just kind of finding her way, through life in the time.
I play, I think, 18-year-old boy who's working in the Ordnance Factory in the press house, and he has polio, so he has a bit of a limp, and for that reason can't go to war.
I play a 23-year-old mom who lives in Wisconsin with her daughter and in-laws, while simultaneously writing letters to her husband who's stationed in Italy.
I play a 20-year-old who works in the mix house, and I'm kind of obsessed. Well, I'm a writer, and I'm obsessed with writing Martian love stories.
Wow.
Yeah. And I like to share them with my friends.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right, now, what do you guys enjoy most about the theater? What made you want to join this production?
I really like getting to bond with other people in my school, and I also just like the process of acting and performing, and when I grow up I want to be part of the performing arts.
That's great.
I definitely love our cast, which is really tight-knit, but I also love getting to kind of experience the world through somebody else's view. I think it's really cool.
I really like, kind of like I said, being part of somebody else's story, and I really like theater because, well, I get to be part of a team and a part of basically just, well, a whole story.
I just like being someone who I'm not, switching up who I am and doing something, I just like attention. So
I like your honesty.
So being on stage alone or with other people, it also makes you feel proud of yourself, seeing it all come together in the end.
Absolutely. It's a big production.
Yeah. I really like how our cast and seeing how the production comes together. And I feel we're not just a team, we're a family. Yeah. And I love, yeah.
Definitely. Well, that's great. Those are all some fantastic answers. Now, would you mind telling me about some challenges that you faced, either in theater or in this production specifically?
In this production, it's one of my first times playing a lead role, so it was definitely a challenge for like the amount of lines I've had, and some of the scenes are emotionally challenging because of like what my character deals with.
Yeah, similar to what Raylan said, it's definitely like lighthearted at times, but altogether it's such a heavy show because of what's going on around them, and it's hard to like deal with that in and out of the actual play, I think.
Kind of hard to think of anything in particular, but like I guess really the whole thing can sometimes be a little overwhelming, especially if like haven't got your lines down when you shouldn't, when you're off book, something like that. Yeah.
This is like my first time having a lead role, so it's like a little scary because then realizing that like certain parts of the show, all eyes are on you and stuff. And
I feel like what Dean said, it's like sometimes, and what Raylan said, it's like sometimes overwhelming to get all your lines memorized, yeah.
Fair enough. That's a good point. What about from the director? Have you found any challenges in directing this production?
Particularly when I first selected it, I've always had a interest. I've always been drawn to history in general, particularly World War II era, culture, and World War II itself. So I actually had this place selected for a couple of years and kind of sat on it till, not to do with the students, but till I felt I could communicate this. This was obviously a time period I did not live through. A little bit, I didn't really have any family members who actively served or shared a lot of stories about it, so a lot of it was diving into research and reading and finding letters. I found a lot of wonderful books that kind of helped me paint that picture in my head, but then how do I communicate that to an even further removed generation? Just giving them what they need in the world and realm of this story, not turning it into a full history class, but at the same time giving them enough information and informing myself enough that we could approach this honorably, respectfully, and most importantly informed. It was so much going on in that time, so many things were changing, and it was not just the war itself, it's how it touched and affected everybody so differently. So that's been a large challenge to gather all of that in one performance space.
That's great. That sounds like a very ambitious project, and I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful that you put so much effort into making sure that it's well depicted, accurately depicted. That's great. Now, why do you think it's important for young people to remember and try to understand the World War II era?
We always hear of that generation, that late 20s to about the early 50s, rightfully referred to as the greatest generation. And I think that word means not just because of what they did, but because of what they endured. This was a generation that had just come out of the tail end of the Roaring 20s, and the cultural changes like Prohibition, and then going into the Depression, particularly Depression era. My grandparents were Depression era kids, and I can only imagine, and what through little bit they've shared with me, living through that, the sacrifices, what became normal to them to live through that era, and then to start to get out of that, only to be thrust right into World War II, to the world's greatest conflicts, the seemingly most formidable foes, and to then have to really more than ever put all and any differences aside, realize that we are all in this together, that this, as General Eisenhower said, there is really no option but utter victory. And then all the selflessness, and again, all the sacrifices that they had to go through, and then getting out of that time period and really rebuilding a culture, rebuilding a country, and hopefully passing those values and that everything at the time that younger generation had seen into the 50s and 60s, then enduring through that.
That's a great way to go about it. I think this is a really great opportunity to learn about some history. Do you guys feel like you understand the era more, having, I guess, acting? You are kind of living through it in a way. You're acting out what it was like to live through this time. Do you guys feel like you have a better understanding of that era now?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think this is a great way to learn history. It's definitely more interesting than a history class. Now, what has impressed you most about these kids in the process of putting on this show?
Their willingness to learn about this. Anyone can recite lines. Anyone can act a part. Not only are they tremendously talented, and I say this to them all the time, that I really do see them disappear into their characters. Casting is as much when they come to audition and they, read for a callback or something, do what they show me as an actor, kind of align with the vision of how I see that character. But also, I'm a big believer in naturalism. Do I see in them, in that person, that actor, that student, do I see elements of that character? Do they have maybe that strong maternal way? Do they have that kind of freelance dreamer, wild way about them? Do they have that ambitious but maybe more reserved way about them? So seeing that honesty and that naturalism in all of them, and then about the point that we're at, through when the show actually goes up, I often say to them, at this point the director starts to kind of fade away and I start to feel kind of useless. And that's a huge compliment to them, because we pride ourselves on the fact that for our fall play here, 7th and 8th graders operate absolutely everything. We have a full student stage crew, leaders, they run all the tech and lighting, they prompt each other, set changes, so it really is a full-on student-run production, and I can't be prouder of that.
That's amazing. Do you guys think you're gonna, I guess first of all I should ask, are you going to attend Newburyport High School? Is that your plan?
Yes.
Do you think you'll join the theater production or the theater program there?
Yes.
Definitely.
That's great. That's great. Moving up in the world. Very nice. Now, what do you most hope that the kids get out of this performance?
A lot of kind of that reflection and understanding, like I was saying earlier, about seeing beyond our generation. And one of them said in a previous interview we did about understanding how important history is to learn, because how quickly and easily it can repeat itself, for the better or not. And I think that the more the generations understand, whether it's the hardships or the triumphs, the struggles, the camaraderie of previous generations, that they can work together, that they can see what things are not, for lack of a better term, working, what are some struggles and challenges we're encountering today, and how we can learn from those, and what is going very well today. And also certainly ways that we can evolve. They learn a lot about what the treatment of women, what women's place in society was then. We talked about kind of breaking out of that mold, that barrier, and seeing, wow, how far have we come, 2024 from the 1940s. But then a lot of them have commented on, wow, we really haven't come that far. Oh, I've experienced something similar to that. There's a character in the show. I've had someone say something similar to me in real life here in 2024 that character in 1941 is dealing with. So, guiding them and then sitting back and watching them reflect on that has been wonderful.
Sounds like it. Well, my final question for all is, I'll have you go around the room again, and I'm going to ask you, what's one reason why people should come see this show? Start with the director. Or not, if we're moving. Okay.
See what students, when they work to their fullest potential and they put their differences aside and they all have a common goal and they all have a common passion, to see what students, frankly of any age, but because I work with middle school, are capable of. Many of our productions, I often again say to the students, one of the biggest compliments I get is an audience member saying, at so many points in that, I did not think I was watching middle schoolers. I didn't think I was watching students, kids. I was watching a performance. I was really pulled into that. And that's kind of when I hold my head up the highest, because ultimately it's them that pulled it off. So to watch those students be able to do that and say that, again, regardless of age or grade, when we all have that eye on the common prize, we just outdo any expectations.
That's great.
I think another good reason is that for especially kids and middle schoolers and maybe even high schoolers like us, they get to learn about this time period, because even though we might go over some things in history class, it doesn't, like, this feels real, and you can see what actual experiences, conversations, like a whole storyline, someone's like day in the life and how it would go. And I think that's a really cool experience for
That's a
someone to
really
see.
great point. Yeah.
I think also, like, watching this, in my opinion, watching this show, you can see the sense of family we all have, like, for each other on and off stage. Like, we're definitely such a close cast, and I feel like watching it, you can really see it.
I think we're working our hardest on it, and I think that like it could be very inspiring to some people. Like, I don't know whether it be inspired to look into do theater, but maybe like a bunch of other things. I don't know how, but like maybe.
That like our cast like has really like grown a bond, which I think is very evident. Like if like in the effort that we put in, like I hope it really shows when we perform on stage. And like it like in class we really learn only about like what was going on, like not in America at the time, like the families, like not the families that were like behind the scenes and stuff. So now we get that perspective, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I think we've worked really hard on this, and it's a really fun show, and it's pretty deep too. It's like, I think that we all performed together really well, and that I think it's just gonna be a really fun show to watch.
I bet it will be. Any closing remarks from you?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming in.
So many students and hands and energy go into this. We have 22 students on the crew, and we have a total 20 in the cast, so we're just over 40 students working on this all together. So we're really proud to be able to represent that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the cast and director of Badger for joining me here at NCM Hub today. Be sure to check out Badger at the Nock Middle School, November 6th and 7th at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:30, and tickets will be available at the door.
Thank you.
Good luck to you all. Break a leg. Sorry, not good luck. Break a leg.